Welcome to the video. So I made a scheduling error this week. The video that you should have seen on Tuesday went out yesterday, and you got no video on Tuesday. So my apologies, because Tuesday is my traditional like upload day. So I need to make sure I can keep to that. But it was an honest error on my end, not checking a setting. But something happened yesterday that's really, really cool. So, look, if you're here for the topic of today, then you need to fast forward to this time stamp right here. This is when we're going to start talking about the article and income tax potentially rising by 2p. Okay. Skip there. If you want to just bear with me just for a moment, I want to say thank you and I want to show you something. Okay. So, take a look at this. This is the live subscriber count for the channel. 70,178 subscribers. And this is your doing. And I just want to take a moment to give you a round of applause. Honestly, I may be putting the time into the videos, but if no one's watching and no one's engaging and no one's commenting and sharing and liking, this doesn't go anywhere. So I do this so that you can pick up information, and you giving me a subscribe, giving me that vote of confidence really means a lot. And I just want to say thank you really from the bottom of my heart. Now, the graph that you're seeing at the bottom of the page here, I just want to talk you through this because if we go to the beginning of the year, January the 1st, as you can see, we're at 57,456 subscribers. And, we fast forward, I think it's to February here, February 24, 25th, we kind of started to see the channel kind of uptick a little bit. And it wasn't until, look, August. I mean, look at this spike. I mean, just look at this growth spurt that we've been on from, 61,575 on August the 28th, all the way up to 70,178 as of today, which is the 30th of October. I mean, this is pretty amazing. The goal is to get to 80,000 subscribers at the end of the day by the end of the year. And I think we'll get there. I really, really do think that we'll get there, but only if I'm able to provide you with more value, which is my whole intention. So, again, thank you so much for supporting, sharing, subscribing, for liking, for commenting, because, like I said, this doesn't happen without you, and we'll get to 80,000 subscribers together. All right, now let's jump into the article of the day. We've spoken about this on the channel, right? A number of times now. And I hate to repeat myself, but because it is now being mentioned and talked about a little bit more, I think it's important that we have these conversations. We can prepare ourselves. Rachel Reeves, eyes up, 2p increase in income tax. Let's just go through what the article has to say. It says here, Rachel Reeves is considering a 2p rise in income tax in a move that could breach Labour's manifesto. The Telegraph understands that the measure being explored by the Treasury after Sir Keir Starmer refused on Wednesday to repeat that Labour would not increase income tax, national insurance, or VAT. Now, I think we've already kind of covered in the video before, and maybe I'll put a visual up here. This is how the government makes their money. Most of their tax revenue comes from income tax, national insurance, and VAT. It's about 54, 56% of the revenue that the government brings in via taxation. So we've already spoken about how, foolish it is really to say that we're not going to touch those three things that are the largest money makers for us, and, expect that we can just fill the black hole elsewhere. I mean, to be honest, things have been made worse by the fact that we've had our forecasts downgraded by the OBR. There's lots of things going on in the background. Productivity isn't really quite right. The economy and the growth isn't great. So she's going to have to think outside the box here. And I think thinking outside the box is sometimes simplified if you go for the most obvious thing. Now, it says here, Ms. Reeves would become the first chancellor to raise the basic rate of income tax since the 1970s if she made the move at next month's budget. Now, I think that bit right there is worth a conversation, because how do you feel about this? And here's a question for you at the beginning of this video. And the reason why I'm asking this question is because someone sent me a reel on Instagram day before yesterday, and the reel was about people in, I think it was Sweden, something like that. And they pay high taxes in Sweden, over 50% in Sweden. And they were asking citizens, how do you feel about paying over half of your income in taxes? And the thought process and the reasons everyone gave was very interesting. It went along the lines of, we see it as a social contract. We pay taxes, and then we have social services, and people have services that they can access. And it was really, really interesting. And I ported that into the UK because in the UK, the NHS is broken. We don't have enough police. You could argue that schools are failing because my partner was a teacher, and Jesus Christ, being a teacher, who would want to do that? Um, it doesn't feel as though that social contract, if you will, is working. And so my question is this: considering that we think, or it feels like the social contract is broken, would you be happy to pay more taxes, 2p more in tax, with the current status quo? Or would you, and I know the answer to this, but I want to get your individual thoughts on this, would you feel differently and okay to pay 2p additional tax if the social contract in place actually worked? Let me know in the comment section down below. But the reason why I state that is because when you look at the UK versus Europe, we still pay relatively low taxes in comparisons to the other countries across Europe. And the argument has been that if we want to have a good social services set up, we want things to work, the way we do that is by raising taxes, albeit that's a very unpalatable idea, which Rachel Reeves is obviously wrestling with as we speak. Now, it goes on to say here, one option being seriously considered is simultaneously cutting national insurance by 2p and raising income tax by 2p. So income tax goes up by 2p, national insurance contributions, that tax goes down by 2p. The move, floated by the Resolution Foundation, a left wing think tank, would raise £6 billion and hit pensioners and landlords who do not pay national insurance. Now, obviously, this is politics we're talking about here. So Kemi Badenoch has been all over this. I'm not going to play this video right here, but let's pay attention to this section in the pink right here because it outlines what this would look like. So it says, under this proposal, the basic income tax rate would rise from 20% to 22%, the higher rate from 40% to 42%, and the additional rate from 45 to 47%. At the same time, the national insurance rate would drop from 8% to 6% for basic rate taxpayers and from 2% to 0 for higher and additional rate payers. Now, here's the important bit. The overall impact, and let me just change the color on this so you can see this a little bit clearly. The overall impact would be that 30 million workers who pay both taxes would pay the same amount, giving Labour a way to claim overall rates were not going up as its manifesto pledged. But it would, let's change this one as well, but it would amount to a tax hike on people who only pay income tax and not national insurance, such as pensioners, landlords, and the self-employed. Overall, the move would generate £6 billion. More could be saved if the national insurance cut was less generous, an idea some former advisors to Sir Keir Starmer believe could be considered. Now, here's the disclaimer. Obviously, Downing Street and the Treasury insiders have repeatedly warned against speculation, which is, I know what we're doing here, it's worth a conversation, stressing that no final decisions have been made on tax changes and that many options are being explored. So that's potentially what new tax brackets could look like. And this would be the first change since 1970. Now, again, we are speculating here. But the way I see this, and again, I'd be keen to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. If the largest tax take that the government has, revenue stream that the government has, is in income tax, national insurance, VAT, in that order, with income tax being the largest share, does it not make sense to increase income tax, especially if they have the get out clause to say, if you reduce national insurance by 2p, increase income tax by 2p, most people will pay no different. But it helps with the calculations and the books in the background, raise a 6 billion quid. How is this not the most obvious move to make, albeit one that is hugely unappetizing for people because it means some people are going to be paying more? You tell me. Now, obviously, they floated a lot of stuff around national insurance contributions for landlords. They're thinking about revamping the whole council tax structure and having property taxes that are paid annually based on the value of your home. There is so much. I think they're in a bit of a bind because what I don't think they can afford to do this time round is have more taxes on business. They have to, in my mind, give some incentives to business so that businesses can invest and they can grow, because that ultimately is what is going to grow the economy. And once the economy starts to grow, things get better because we're generating more money. And so I don't think we can have another budget where they deliver hammer blows to business. I just don't think it's going to work. And if they don't do that, well, it feels like they have to target individuals. And everything that we've spoken about so far on the channel is kind of leading to that. Everything we spoke about in yesterday's video around the fact that, 1 million pensioners potentially are going to be paying more taxes on their savings because of the way things are now structured. And it's expected, what was the number? 713,000 basic rate taxpayers, like pensioners paying basic rate, will pay more. The income thresholds being frozen with that fiscal drag, coming into the equation. People are going to end up paying more tax. So that's the whole goal of the government, to get people to pay more tax. This feels like a really obvious route to go down. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. All right. And hopefully, if you did engage with this and you did get value and you're part of the 10%ers, hopefully you'll share this, leave a comment, smash the like button, just nod to the YouTube algorithm that you enjoyed this video. And if you're brand new and you're here, part of the 10%ers at the very, very end of the video, and you're not subscribed, hopefully you'll subscribe as well. I'll see you in a video tomorrow. Cheers.